landmark verdict, the Supreme Court annulled the appointment of 20 ministers, calling it anti-constitutional. The development is seen as a major blow to Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's unflagging aspirations to hold on to power, even as all odds are staked against him. Good morning, I am Bipashna Tamang and these are the headlines of the hour. Supreme Court issues an interim order to annul the appointment of 20 ministers by the Prime Minister. The verdict a major blow to Oli administration. Health Ministry expresses reservations over loosening of the prohibitory orders in the capital. 41 COVID-19 patients succumbed to the virus yesterday, over 3,700 test positive. Taliban's fighters seized dozens of districts in Afghanistan as they step up attacks during the final withdrawal by foreign troops. And Croatia advanced to the knockout round of Euro 2020 as Group B runners-up. England topped Group B with another clinical finish. Czech Republic also through. The Supreme Court has overturned the recent cabinet expansion by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli after the dissolution of the House of Representatives. The Apex Court has termed the expansion of the cabinet as unconstitutional. With this interim order, 20 newly appointed ministers have been relieved from their posts, while 4 ministers are left in their caretaker Prime Minister Oli's cabinet. We have more in this report.
On Tuesday, a joint bench at the Supreme Court of Chief Justice Cholendra Samsher Rana and Justice Prakash Kumar Dhungana issued an interim order to scrap the appointment of 20 ministers and state ministers. Now the caretaker Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's cabinet has Finance Minister Bishnu Paudel, Education Minister Krishna Gopal Shrestha, Physical Infrastructure Minister Basanta Nemwang and Law Minister Leela Nath Shrestha as they were appointed to the post before the lower house was dissolved. The bench issued the order citing a caretaker Prime Minister does not have the authority to expand the cabinet based on the subsection 3 of Article 77 of the Constitution. The bench clarified that the Constitution required and entrusted the incumbent Council of Ministers to continue with the government works. Prime Minister Oli, who had dissolved the House of Representatives on 22nd of May, had appointed the 20 ministers and state ministers on 4th and 10th of this month.
41 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the country yesterday, taking the COVID-19 death tally to 8,813, while the death rate stands at 1.5%. Meanwhile, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country has crossed 623,000 as 3,703 more individuals tested positive for the virus yesterday. The Kathmandu Valley alone reported 476 new cases. According to the Health Ministry, 12,204 tests through the PCR method were carried out in the past 24 hours, while the infection rate in the country now stands at 30.3%. Meanwhile, 4,954 individuals registered full recovery in the past 24 hours, taking the recovery tally to over 564,800, while the recovery rate stands at 90.2%. Based on the Health Ministry's report, currently there are 52,648 active cases, of which 49,425 are in home isolation, 761 in intensive care units and 218 on ventilator support. Several ministries, including the Health Ministry, are at odds regarding the authorities in Kathmandu Valley easing prohibitory orders. The ministry has warned that the decision to ease the prohibitions despite infection rate consistently exceeding 20% could trigger another round of outburst of infections anytime soon. More in this report.
In a bid to contain the fast-spreading coronavirus amid the second wave of the pandemic, prohibitory orders were imposed in Kathmandu Valley on 29th of April. During this period, public movement was strictly monitored and even grocery stores were barred from operating for a week since 28th of May. Local authorities have from Tuesday eased the prohibitions and as a result, vehicular movements have largely increased in the valley while marketplaces have become crowded. The Health Ministry, meanwhile, has expressed reservations over the loosening of the prohibitory order, saying that infection rate has continued to exceed 20%. The Health Ministry has criticized the local authorities' decision, saying that they had overlooked the ministry's warning of a deadlier scenario in the name of encouraging economic activities. Meanwhile, analysts have termed the Health Ministry's latest reservations as meaningless, as the local authorities of Kathmandu Valley decided to ease the restrictions based on the recommendations from the COVID Crisis Management Center (CCMC) that is led by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli and includes the Minister for Health himself. They also opined that the disagreement between the government bodies have only hindered in controlling the pandemic.
Welcome back. Poorer nations are at risk of being deprived of coronavirus vaccines as a larger portion of the vaccines being produced are being consumed by rich and powerful nations. So far, 2.66 billion doses of COVID-19 vaccines have been consumed across the world, 86% of which is consumed in rich and high-income countries, while 0.3% by lower-income countries, including Nepal. As vaccine manufacturers are from developed nations, poorer nations have more constraints in accessing vaccines. In many cases, poor countries are not able to purchase the vaccines, Nepal being one of them that has yet to receive the said doses of vaccines from India despite paying in advance. Likewise, half of the vaccines consumed in the world, which comes to around 1.3 billion doses, have been administered in China. Currently, Sinovac and Sinopharm are two companies in China successfully producing COVID-19 vaccines. Elsewhere in the US, where vaccination campaign began in December last year, 45% of its population, which is 317 million people, have received first dose of the life-saving jab. 150 million have received both the doses. In the UK, 420 million have received a first dose of the vaccine. According to the New York Times, North and West America and Europe have consumed a maximum number of vaccines, while Asia, Oceania and African continents the least. The World Health Organization has expressed concerns that a large number of poorer nations receiving COVID-19 vaccines through a global trading scheme do not have enough doses to continue programs. Meanwhile, the COVAX campaign has failed to maintain equal access to vaccines for all countries. The COVAX facility has aimed at distributing 2 billion doses of vaccines to poor nations by the end of 2021. However, many doubt the goal will be achieved considering the current pace of production and constraints in supply. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked employees, students and doctors at Dharan's BP Koirala Health and Sciences Academy what is the reason behind the failure to carry out a fair investigation on irregularities within the academy. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
यसलाई छानबिनको दायरामा ल्याउने भनेको अब विशेषतः एउटा सरकारले अलि तदारुकता देखाउनु पर्ने त्यो सरकारले गर्दैन किनभने उनीहरुले पठाएको मान्छेहरु हुन्
भ्रष्टाचार गर्ने मान्छे नै पोस्टमा भएपछि कसरी कसले छानबिन गर्ने
यो सबै राजनीतिक कारण नै हो यिनीहरुको राजनीति माथिबाट आउँदाखेरि नै राजनीतिक नियुक्ति भएर आउनुहुन्छ र त्यसले गर्दाखेरि उहाँहरुलाई ब्याक सपोर्ट हुन्छ
सेटिंग्सहरु हुने देखिएको छ यसले गर्दाखेरि अब अख्तियारमा जान्छ कम्प्लेनहरु तर त्यो चाहिँ उहाँहरु यहाँ आएर हेरे पनि त्यहाँ काहीँ न काहीँ त्यहाँनिर फाउल प्ले भइरा हुन्छ
बीपी कोइराला स्वास्थ्य विज्ञान प्रतिष्ठानको कतिपय मुद्दाहरु अख्तियारमा पनि गइरहेको छ कतिपय मुद्दाहरु तपाईको अदालतमा पनि छन् ती सबै लम्बेतान प्रोसेसमा गइरहेको छ
पदाधिकारीहरु राजनीतिक नियुक्ति लिएर आउँछन् उनीहरु केही न केही बुझाएर आएको भन्ने हल्लाहरु बाहिर आएको छ र त्यो बुझाएर आइसकेपछि तलदेखि माथिसम्म जुन सेटिङ मिलाएको छ यिनीहरुले त्यसले गर्दाखेरि यहाँ निष्पक्ष रूपमा छानबिन हुन सकेको छैन
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where it takes us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And here's the question: why has the Nepal Alliance Corporation's plan for a strategic partnership failed to move ahead? The options are option A, afraid to take risk; option B, bureaucracy; and option C, influence of private sectors. The voting is on. Type NAWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And time now for the sports update.
Sports News.
Croatia have advanced to the knockout round of Euro 2020. Croatia crossed Scotland 3-1 to move to the round of 16 as Group B runners-up. Both the teams needed Full points at Hampden Park, Glasgow, as Croatia got the lead in the 17th minute when Nikola Velicic found the net off a cross from Ivan Perisic. Scotland came back strongly as they equalised shortly before the first half through Callum McGregor. Croatia presented themselves aggressively in the second half as they regained the lead in the 62nd minute when Luka Modric found the net with a neat finish. Modric was in the thick of action again in the 77th minute as Perisic made full use of his cross to take the match beyond Scotland. Having lost the opening match to England, they were held by Czech Republic in the early matches. The win against Scotland gave them 3 crucial points as they finished with 4 points to qualify for the round of 16 as Group D runners-up. England topped Group D with a clinical 1-0 victory over Czech Republic. Raheem Sterling put England ahead in the 12th minute in the match played at Wembley Stadium. Sterling scored his second goal of Euro 2020 as he utilised a cross from Jack Grealish. Bukayo Saka and Grealish had dream match while captain Harry Kane's struggle for a goal has continued at the end of group matches at the Euro Cup. With the win, England collected 7 points to top Group D, while Czech Republic also qualified for the knockout round by virtue of their best top 3 finish. And that's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.